Okay, so after all the interviews, all the technical tests, and all the evidence gathering, an audit finally reaches its most critical phase. You could call it Judgment Day. This is where all that hard work gets boiled down into a final, official verdict. And let me tell you, it's a process that's just as much about careful judgment as it is about the raw evidence. So, let's dig into how it's done.
And that really is the big question, isn't it? The data collection part is over, but how does an assessor get from a huge mountain of evidence to a clear, final decision? Well, it's a super important process of judgment, documentation, and communication that once it's finished is completely locked in for good.
So, we're in the final act of the audit. This is the stage where the verdict gets locked in. Once that report is finalized, the results are basically set in stone. No more changes can be made.
All right, so the very first step in this final act is assigning a compliance status. Every single item that was checked out, every control, gets a definitive label. This isn't about feelings or opinions. It's about making a clear, binary judgment based on all that evidence.
When you boil it all down, the judgment is pretty simple. An item is either compliant, which means the requirement was totally met, or it's non-compliant, meaning it wasn't. There's really no middle ground here. It's a very clear line in the sand.
But wait, there's actually a third option that's really important to understand: not applicable, or NA for short. This one gets used when a requirement just doesn't apply to the organization. The source material gives a perfect example. You can't fail a company on its Wi-Fi security controls if they don't even have Wi-Fi. It's not a pass, it's just not relevant to the audit.
So what about getting partial credit? This is where compliance gets really tough. Even if a control is kinda implemented, in most cases it's still officially labeled non-compliant. There are no participation trophies here, but, and this is the crucial part, while the status says non-compliant, the assessor has to document exactly how much was actually met. That little detail is the key to what comes next. And that next thing is moving from being a judge to being a guide. As soon as the verdicts are in, the assessor's job switches to creating recommendations for every single one of those non-compliant items. And trust me, this is a real art form. This is the core challenge, isn't it? It's one thing to point out a problem, but to provide a solution that's actually useful, that's actionable, and that's tailored to that specific organization, that is where the real expertise shines. And this right here shows the tightrope an assessor has to walk. If you're too vague and just say something like, improve security protocols, you give the team nothing to work with, and it probably won't get done. But if you're too prescriptive, like telling them to install a specific version of firewall software, that might clash with their existing tech, go way over their budget, or maybe they even have a better solution in-house. You know, the source material just nails this idea. It's all about striking a delicate balance. Finding that perfect middle ground is where an assessor really provides value, turning a simple finding into a real chance for the company to get better. So, what does just right even look like? Well, a great recommendation gives clear direction but is still flexible. It's tailored to the specific problem, but it also respects the organization's reality, its culture, its capabilities, and of course, its budget. At the end of the day, it's expertise mixed with a healthy dose of empathy.
Okay, now let's see how all these different pieces, the statuses, the recommendations, actually come together in the final report. This document is the complete anatomy of the verdict.
And make no mistake, this document is a big deal. It's the official, permanent, and unchangeable record of the entire assessment. Once it's finalized, that's it. It becomes the definitive historical account of everything that was found.
Now, while the exact format might change a little, most final reports have a pretty similar set of key sections. You'll start with the basics, like a title and who the assessor was. Then you've got an executive summary for the leadership team. And then you get to the real meat of it, the detailed findings, comments from both sides, and all the supporting data in the appendices.
The executive summary is absolutely critical. Just think of it as the 1-minute readout for busy leaders who don't have time to go through hundreds of pages. It's designed to give them the essentials, what the assessment was for and what the major findings were, quickly and clearly, without getting them lost in all the technical details. So if the executive summary is the headline, the findings section is the full story. This is the heart of the entire report. It's the detailed item-by-item breakdown of each control status, met or not met, backed up by solid evidence, and of course, followed by those carefully written recommendations for how to fix things.
Now here's something you might not expect. A good report isn't just a one-way street.
To make sure everything is fair, it almost always includes a section for the organization's own comments. This gives them a chance to add their 2 cents, provide some extra context, or even officially disagree with a finding. This makes the final record a balanced one that includes everyone's perspective.
Okay, so we've got this formal, detailed, multi-perspective document. But let's zoom out for a second. Why does this report really matter in the real world? Well, its impact goes way beyond just a simple pass or fail grade.
First things first, this is a highly sensitive document. I mean, it's basically a blueprint of an organization's weak spots and unresolved risks. If it were to leak, it could be absolutely devastating. Because of that, the report itself has to be protected, with access limited only to the people who absolutely need to see it.
But here's the twist. It also has a really powerful public-facing life. While the full sensitive report is kept under lock and key, passing an assessment can earn a company a certificate or a summary that becomes a huge badge of honor. And this isn't just for show. It builds trust with customers, it boosts investor confidence, and it can be a major leg up on the competition.
So in the end, it's really easy to look at this report as a final grade, the end of a long, stressful process. But that's not what it is at all. A final report isn't an ending, it's a beginning. It's a detailed, evidence-based roadmap for what comes next, a guide to becoming safer, stronger, and more resilient. The real work starts now.